like to start. Dear colleagues, on behalf of the Faculty of Economics and Business, University of Beogradu, I wish you welcome at our institution. My name is Ministarstva, and I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business. This is the first conference jointly organized by our partner institutions, friend and well-grade Institution of Economics, and supported by our Ministry of Science. The conference brought us together, on site and also online. Our colleague Milena Peški is also with us, together to give us the opportunity to discuss about most important and relevant topics related to sustainability and also to sustainable development in general. At the beginning, I will give just a few information about our institution, about our faculty, and about our university. We are founded 86 years ago in 1937. Our faculty belongs to the family of 31 faculties, 11 institutes, and 1 library in the University of Belgrade. With about 8,000 students at all 3 levels of the studies, we are one of the largest faculties within the group. We offer programs both in Serbian and English language to our students. And we are very proud of cooperation with numerous universities within the European Union and worldwide. Different forms of cooperation have been realized both in the context of education and scientific research cooperation. Looking at our agenda, there are very interesting plenary and parallel sessions to go with papers that cover different subtopics of sustainability. We did, of course, our best to host the conference in the good manner. I would like to thank the members of the program committee and also to the members of organizing committee for good organization of the event. And of course, I wish to all of us fruitful discussion by the end of the day and good stay in our capital. I can announce now this conference officially open. Thank you.
Hvala. Ja ću vam se obratiti u ime drugog organizatora, to je Društva ekonomista Beograda, da vas pozdravim, da poželim uspeh u ovom skupu. Društva ekonomista Beograda je jedna od najstarijih asocijacija ekonomista u jugoistočnoj Evropi. Mi smo nastavljači tradicije Društva za ekonomsku i socijalnu politiku osnovanog 1912. godine i mi smo negde tu prešli kao onaj starac koji dugo živi, preko 90 godina postojanja. Društvo se bavilo važnim temama i pre Drugog svjetskog rata i danas se bavilo se svih 70 godina posle Drugog svjetskog rata i kao što vidite da smo dali inicijativu, učestvovali u inicijativi da se napravi ovakav skup sa velikom značajnom temom oko bioekonomije i cirkularne ekonomije. Naime, danas u savremenom svetu problematika biomedicine, proizvodnje hrane s nutritivnim karakteristikama, problematika biotehnologije, zelene ekonomije, plave ekonomije, održivog razvoja su u centru pažnje ne bez razloga. Pored ekonomske efikasnosti postoje značajna pitanja. Mi ekonomisti često tu malo grešimo, pa zanemarujemo da se stvarnost ne može svesti samo na ekonomsku stvarnost. Mi očekujemo da ćemo na ovom skupu imati neke bitne odgovore na neka pitanja ili bar neke naznake tih bitnih odgovora. Ja vam želim uspjeh. Hvala vam.
Treći organizator ove konferencije je Fondacija za razvoj ekonomske nauke. Ona postoji od 2005. godine, osnovana je od strane Ekonomskog fakulteta Univerziteta u Beogradu. Dugi niz godina je radila istraživanja prevashodno iz oblasti makroekonomske analize, javnih finansija, socijalne politike, siromaštva, nejednakosti i pozicionirala se kao istraživačka organizacija koja radi pouzdane i relevantne istraživanje. 2021. godine, dakle pre 2 godine, smo se odlučili i doneli odluku da malo proširimo delatnost i da u većoj meri uključimo istraživače i iz drugih oblasti, tako iz ekonomske nauke, tako i iz drugih povezanih disciplina. Način da to uradimo, kao dobar način da to uradimo, prepoznali smo takozvane istraživačko-ekspertske mreže, gde smo nastojali da povežemo istraživače, pre svega sa Ekonomskog fakulteta, ali kažem i iz drugih institucija, kako bi bili kadri da rade istraživanja iz savremenih, kako smo čuli sad od profesora Mihajlovića, multidisciplinarnih oblasti. Jedna od mreža koju smo osnovali i na čiji smo rad prilično ponosni u prethodne 2 godine je takozvana mreža za zelenu i digitalnu ekonomiju. Tu mrežu u Fondaciji za razvoj ekonomske nauke vodi naš kolega profesor Đorđe Mitrović i ona okuplja nekoliko istraživača, ne samo iz ekonomske nauke, i na to smo veoma ponosni. Imamo i profesore biohemije, profesore iz energetike i napravili smo tim od 5-6 istraživača koji zaista ovako već počinju da skreću pažnju u toj sferi istraživanja. Jedan od naših, odnosno njihovih doprinosa ogleda se upravo i u ovom događaju danas. Istraživači iz zelene mreže u Frenu, kako mi to zovemo, su dali zaista ogroman doprinos za organizaciju ove konferencije. Naravno, vi ćete njih imati danas prilike da upoznate i čujete njihova istraživanja. To su profesorka Sonja Josipović, Milena Rekalović, Ilija Batas-Bjelić, Đorđe Mitrović, pomenuti i drugi. Ja im se zahvaljujem, kao što se zahvaljujem i Ekonomskom fakultetu i Društvu ekonomista Beograda na izuzetnom doprinosu i saradnji u organizaciji ove konferencije. Hvala lepo. Yeah, and now we can start with the official and working part of the conference. Our first speaker in this plenary session is Professor Tibor Kiš from Hungary, and I'm asking him to take the floor and take a word with his presentation. You can present from this place.
Usually walking around.
Yes, you can.
And if you want to see, it's maybe more simple if it's
Okay.
because the screen is there, so you probably won't follow what I'm going to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me?
I think that from the Zoom cannot see our presentation, so you should share slides on Zoom. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
Sorry, can you share the whole screen? I mean the whole computer, not only this presentation, because twice I will start a link and probably it won't be seen. If you
only is going to be fine. Okay, yeah, they cannot see this.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation. And hopefully can show some new decisions. Can you hear me from the back as well? So the conference topic is about the circular and bioeconomy. However, I linked or added the blue economy as well, which is similar to this, and which is our main research area together with Ivanka Milenkovic. So, at first, some short definition in order to know that what we are speaking about. The circular economy probably have a familiarity with it. It's only a definition part, but I highlighted some important elements, mainly recycling or the other existing materials and products for as long as possible. So That's the key for as long as possible. If it is already used, keep it in the circulation as much as possible. It's very good and important. What about the bioeconomy? When you will read this definition, you probably see that all the things what we use derived from renewable biological resources. And when you will read this part of sentence, you will probably recognize that it's very similar to that of renewable energy, what we are trying to do for 20 years or so, or a bit more. So it's a type of extension of the renewable energy part, I should say, but it's extended to all the industrial field as well. And the blue economy is not in the ocean economy sense, but in the sense where Gunther Pauli made a report for the Club of Rome that briefly an economy that fits the planet Earth. And it practically means, sorry, so it practically means that it based on ecological systems. So it keeps the ecological systems behavior to build a type of economy which fits to the blue planet. So that's briefly the meaning of the blue economy. I'd like to recall the Sustainable Development's original definition from 1997, you're probably familiar with, which emphasized that to satisfy the human needs without undermining the planetary integrity and the stability of natural systems. And now that the first interesting point, or important one. Here it says that undermining the planetary integrity. And what is this planetary integrity? That's a key of my presentation, to examine this, because if we understand this notion, in this case, we are much closer even to the bio or the circular economy. Which is obvious if we have to produce everything from the nature, what is around. In this case, the more resource we have, the better. It means that the healthier the environment, the more it can produce, and it is better for the bioeconomy. But how can we get most out of nature? I'm sorry to say that in that way, but finally the bioeconomy is something control versus adaptation. So we have to arrange the things to nature to produce more, or nature knows how to produce more. And now I'd like to show you an example which is a very important part of the planetary integrity. And I will have to check. Earlier I had an icon. Icon of the Google. No, but the Google was not Google in, it was something. Yes, good. Yes, and only play.
But we have to share that.
So that's what play.
This one, yeah, how rules change.
Oh, yes. Yes, I have. So please don't forget that's the adaptation part.
Have been the discovery of widespread controlled caffeine. Caffeine.
Sound voice good.
And all I think about what happens in the Yellowstone National Park in the United States when in 1955. Wolves killed various ancient plants, but everybody left of it. And they give life to the young. Before wolves turned up, they had 70 years. There was a number of deer, other than little time built up in the Yellowstone Park, and despite efforts by humans, they managed to reduce much of the vegetation there, but almost nothing. They just grazed it away. But still, the wolves are right, even though they were stupid enough, they started to eat the most of them. First, of course, they killed some of the deer. That was the major, much more significant. They gradually changed the behavior. The deer started avoiding certain parts of the park. The cases where they can capture these particularly the value and culture, and those places start to regenerate. In some areas, the height of trees quickly, in just 6 years, bare valley sides quickly became forests, aspen and willow and pine. Things like that. The number of songbirds is migratory birds, some doing particularly great. The number of beavers started to increase because beavers like to eat this. And beavers like wolves, so the beavers many things, they create niches for our species. And the dams they built in the rivers are providing habitat for marvelous fish and reptiles and amphibians. If you kill coyotes, and as a result of that, the number of rabbits might be multiplied because more fish. More people, more bags, very good, more people getting out, feed on chariots, their population began to rise, and well, partly also because there were more berries growing on the degenerating shrubs, and the bears reinforced the impact of the wolves by killing some of the calves and the deer. Here's where it gets really interesting. The wolves changed behavior in rivers. They began to meander this. There is an erosion in channels now, more pools form, more river sections, which is great for wildlife. The rivers change. And the reason why they regenerated forests stabilize the banks so that they collapse their life, and the rivers became more fixed in their course. Similarly, by driving the deer out of some places and vegetation recovering on the valley sides, there is a following of the vegetation stabilize that as well. So the wolves, transform not just the ecosystem of the Yellowstone National Parks in the area of land, also its physical geography.
So that was briefly the adaptation. And I'm going to start my other link, and I will modify that. There's also another link. No. Go here. Because there is another link. So, I finished the link of the Chrome. Yes, that's the point. Yes, right. So, okay. Please email here because in order to start with this, no problem with seemingly. Because I see the difficulties and I don't want to do the sharing. This one. And it also goes. Thank you. This one. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm getting up these are the technical details and so the difficulties how to share and so I will change the order to see the other links. Because I have 2 links, and that's the other links, the situation where we don't adapt, but we want to control to ecosystem processing. Yes. It's only 2 minutes. The key language in Indonesia.
The farmers control the interest in national development and existing rights in fact free crop year trade. Some of the old people said, well, the trouble with that is, according to our traditions, we schedule carefully time when water goes to the fields and when it doesn't. It has a reason for that. After a couple of years of farmer arguments, those reasons started to become clear. Even Lansing gold grid, why get them paying it? Is a farmer instead of it. He remembered what it was like 20 years ago when the bed began to appear. The revolution passes what at the time. The scientists that the farmers were advised to use pesticides, they were forced to use pesticides. They would be punished by the government if they didn't, because the government would say if anybody doesn't use pesticides immediately, it's going to be kind of that's there and that's the spread of other fields. So within a year or two, even the doctors, pumping these pesticides into the fields soon to all the pests. So everything in there, why they want to pesticides carefully, and they succeeded in trying to get it. So everything's been migrated, so by studying anything, by telling anything, it is really part of the creation. So you need to pay attention to the whole picture. Especially if they have to put the whole picture. Speaking of with the notion of the environment, by learning wisdom, accumulated understanding.
So it was an example from human sense with the human knowledge, and the sharing is good now. Can I? The sharing is good. Hopefully there won't be any more difficulties. I would like to go back by 1 page. The user. So what we saw that was the situation when in the Yellowstone Park when we had a lot of deers and it was a surplus in the ecological system. It cannot cope with it. Therefore, what happened that later they reintroduced the war. I mean, the integrity is corrected, went back to the original state. And it also means that obviously there was a state which is before. So before the human interventions, it also worked in a proper way, I mean nature. However, there was a human intervention, which was corrected now with the reintroduction of the war. So that's a very important part from the integrity. That's good.
Just to minimize.
So I'm sorry about this Zoom, but in normal circumstances there are no such a hassle with these things. So briefly, it pays to adapt to ecological systems because it can produce much more in technical terms for a bioeconomy. And I demonstrated you before that what's happening if you want to control. So you will decide, human people will decide that what to do with nature. I mean, you probably follow that instead of 2 harvests in Balinese, the Balinese agriculture, they needed to harvest 3 times because there was plenty of resources, but at the end they recognized that it's not true. So finally, the Balinese government decided to go back to the 2 harvests per year. It was only a human-centered solution. And it's also very important. We say that the human is first. The human is first to take it into the center of the world. However, if we want to do this, there is a precondition. First, take ecological systems to, yes, first, ecological systems in the center first, and after the abundance of ecological systems, you can take the human into the center. A famous example, I don't want to let you know now, is the Las Gaviotas famous blue economy example where there is a savanna. It's in Colombia, near Bogota. And that was the situation when the human intervention, of course, the cows, destroyed their land. And what happened afterwards? They reinstalled the rainforests. We find things everywhere. Someone is interested in the link, you can follow. It was before and it was after. And now there is a rainforest here with water and birds and trees and everything. But don't forget that there was a before here as well. And it was also a rainforest. And it also means that it's a type of adaptation. It's true that it's a type of human control, human intervention. However, it went back to the original situation where there was a rainforest earlier. So they reinforced the introducing forests like reintroducing wood. The same situation is happening to remedy the ecosystems in its original and working state and working situation. And that's for Serbia is very important, I think. These restoration processes can be done when the climate conditions are still given. So if there are good conditions and you see somewhere a destroyed ecological system, there is a chance to recover, to reinstall it. And therefore you can achieve a much more ecological abundance, therefore a much better place for the bioeconomy and for the humans. What did we see till this time? We saw that there are the deers, a lot of deers, the surplus. It's not good for the ecological systems because it's not needed. What can they do with this hunting work, which is anyway not possible in Yellowstone and so? But they want to get rid of them. I mean, from this. There is another rather famous, I don't know whether you are interested, familiar with it or not. In Australia, in some parts, the so-called cane toads are so invasive that when you go home, you can find it at the doors or on the streets, and everywhere, so it's a very abundant, and they wanted to get rid. For example, then the focus of which is preventing its reproduction. However, don't forget that the surplus is a huge biomass as well. So you have to use up in a bioeconomy, it's a plus resource for you, and you won't harm the ecosystem's integrity. And that's the key here. And the process already started. They do fertilizers from them, luxury leatherwares, and so they started already this process. I will jump this slide, but briefly the seaweed has the same effect. It's a surplus because of mainly the fertilizers, artificial fertilizers. There are so much seaweeds, either permanently or temporarily, that it causes a huge loss. For example, $82 million for the US marine waters itself alone. So also you can get rid of them. However, you can use it up. It's a huge energy source. It's a huge food and feed source as well. So it means that it's highly worthy to consider this abundant and free resource. So briefly about the blue bio and circular economy. So the blue economy is clearly an adaptation, kind of adaptation to ecological systems, and so how and why, because we can restore the abundance of nature. But obviously we divert from this part. So it means that ecological systems malfunction. Therefore, they create a lot of surplus which is seemingly unnecessary, but not get rid of them, but use it for bioeconomy purposes. That's your plenty resource, natural resource figure. As I told you, the significance of the biocircular economy is huge, because you can get rid of the surplus in a way that you can produce much more products and everything else, energy for human consumption. An industrial, only circular economy example, what I collected, but I'm sure that you will hear a lot about the circular economy today. The symbiosis of 25 Danish companies, there's a link here. But in strict economic terms, you can see that the result is a reduced waste management, procurement costs, new products, and so on and so on. But that's the situation not even later in this conference. So, about the integrity again, because I told you that that's the most important thing. So about the integrity, what's happening if a report says that only 0.2% of the surrounding natural environment is used up by a company? What do you say in that case? Probably you are happy. We don't cause such a harm. However, it's not necessarily the truth. There is also very famous blue economy example. How many of the coffee rates are used up when you drink the coffee? You can remember that you are protecting plants and everything else in order to get this more coffee. What do you guess? Yes, you are right, exactly 0.2. 0.2% used only by the human. The other 99.8% goes to landfill and other parts, which is practically a waste. We saw here the Yellowstone example. If you can estimate that the wolves ratio compared to the biomass, how much? It's obviously much less than 0.2%, but it still can have the effect, a huge effect. So practically, it's not all the same that which is this 0.2% what you will use up. from nature, whether it endangers ecosystem or not. So that's the anyway, the key words here, it will be your possible next conference topic is the resilience. That's the buzzword of our current economic life. So what if we remove the coffee drink from the whole system? So probably the whole production does not have any sense. So the walls from the system and so very well that what happened with the Oldstone when they removed the 0.2% only, but from a wrong place. So that's the reason that the integrity of nature is very important. Applications. Well, how can you apply this type of economy? Let's first see the new economy application possibility. Unfortunately, there is a so-called path dependency. I don't think that I should over-explain because you are mainly economists. So if you once install a equipment part in the industrial system, so it will determine the next steps and the next step. So a few years ago, there were still more innovations for the fossil fuels and for the renewable resources. So that means briefly the path dependency. It's not realistic everywhere because we are living in a big industrial, already installed environment. So the new economic application in that sense, it's a bit limited. However, still has an enormous potential, but I told you that reinstall some parts which are destroyed in economic systems, forests, maybe the forest, that's one of the key, and the other parts as well. About the fourth presentation, about Ivan Kamielenkovich's presentation, waste is transferred to blue. I don't want to tell you, don't worry, your presentation, but a fact that still industrial production is needed when you can want to transform or to transfer your waste to something else, something very new. And in the industrial production process, you might make a transformation to blue, and that will be what you will hear later. So the summary of my presentation, where you can apply, enjoy the abundance of the blue economy, that's the first thing. Where there is a malfunctioning ecological system, in this case, use after the surface. I mean the seaweeds, what I can store the deers or so. And the last one in our malfunctioning industrial world, what we are experiencing around us, a circular economy in the past. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Kish. Since we delayed 10 minutes with the beginning of the conference, my suggestion is if there is some concrete, immediate question, you can go with the question now for Professor Kish. If not, then I will suggest to complete the plenary session with all 4 lecturers, and then afterwards to go with the questions and comments. So I think it's a better solution, but I have to ask you.
And I try to be here in the coffee break and might in the lunch. I don't know whether I'm trying.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Our second lecture comes from Netherlands, from Rotterdam. It's our colleague Biljana Pešelj, and she now will take her presentation. Biljana, hi, hello.
Hi, hello, thank you very much.
Okay, I will give you the role of the host, so you can share. Now you are the host, and I hope you can manage everything you need.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I hope that the technology will bear with us. It is my pleasure to be here. My name is Biljana Pešalj, and I'm the associate professor at the Rotterdam Business School. And for those that do not know me, maybe it's interesting to say that I have studied at the Faculty of Economics in Belgrade and worked there for almost 12 years, but that was 12 years ago. I think my presentation and the topic fits well with what we just heard from Professor Kish, and focuses more on the industrial sector and companies. Let me see if, yeah, this should be fine, right? You can see my presentation. What I will be talking about is the sustainable business performance, the opportunities and challenges. As I said, I think it fits very well with what we heard from Professor Kish, and related to his last point on the challenges related to the industrial sector. I will just briefly reflect on the concept of sustainability on different levels, in a sense of multi-level and multi-stakeholder approach to sustainability, but focus most on the business sustainability as a concept, and also exploring opportunities and challenges with more practical sort of approach to and the perspective of companies actually in the challenge of meeting SDGs and reflecting or simply responding to sustainability challenges. As Professor Kish has already touched upon again about the sustainable development, I will not spend more time on that. I will just, I'm sure that most of you or all of you are aware of the definition that is most broadly used to describe sustainable development. And we see that concept as a successor of the concept of corporate social responsibility, and also the one that had led to the development of a more practical and more applied approach such as circular economy. There are crucial differences, of course, between these concepts, and maybe especially important the differences between circular economy and sustainability. But I think that's the topic for a whole other conference on its own. So yeah, I will not enter into those differences at this point. In a best way, sustainable development is represented by the Sustainable Development Goals, these 17. And as you can see, they seem to be like a very clearly defined small blocks separated from each other. But the truth is that they are very interrelated and interdependent, with a cause and effect relationships and even trade-off effects between each other. So basically, we need to be focusing as a society on all of them in order to be dealing with the most urgent sustainability issues that have been defined in 2015, and we have set as a society as well an objective to work on them and to achieve them until 2030. It has been 8 years already on this road to achieving SDGs, and only 7 years left. These goals can be achieved only by working on multiple levels, such as global level. This is the level on which SDGs are defined, but that cannot be done if these goals are not cascaded down and taken very seriously at the national level, industry level, level of cities, of regions, organizational level, including companies, and individual level. Each one of these levels, again, is very complex, includes many participants, many stakeholders, and includes also relationship and dependencies between the levels, making, of course, the achievement of those goals very complex. And each participant might have a different view on and a way of achieving those and working on those SDGs. I will not run this link. It stays in the presentation and you can consult it. This is one of the newest findings of the World Economic Forum, which actually shows to which extent all the SDGs and sustainability issues are interdependent and interrelated. Therefore, it makes no sense on working only on a couple of selected of SDGs, because directly or indirectly, each company, let's say, makes an effect on all of them, as well as all of the sustainability issues basically directly or indirectly affect the performance of companies. The latest report on the SDG progress from 23, which was released just now in September, is a little bit disappointing. I'm sure you cannot read, of course, the text, but you can definitely see the color coding, which actually indicates that after 8 years on this road towards and journey towards SDG achievement, the progress was not very good. It's quite disappointing, leading to some of the criticism and conclusions that it's actually a utopia, because on most of them, the progress is actually transgressive. The trend is actually transgressive and retrograde, and actually only on several of those, there is a progress that would count as satisfying. Another conclusion from the report is about the interdependencies between SDGs, meaning a lot of complex mechanisms that define the cause and effect relationship, but also trade-offs between those SDGs, meaning that more of one probably means less of the other. And another important conclusion from the report is a substantial financing gap, meaning that the financial market is not so confident in investing in the needs of further progressing on sustainability and circular economy. If we now focus more on companies, the concept of sustainability actually a bit changes to become a little bit more operational so that it can be actually implemented in companies. And the concepts that we see in the business literature are 3P, so triple bottom line, profit, planet, people, or ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance issues. In any case, actually the application of sustainability in companies means simultaneous achievement of economic, financial, environmental, and social goals. And in the long run, the simultaneous achievement actually is possible. However, in the short run, what we have evidenced so far is that there is a trade-off very often. There is, of course, a positive correlation as well, but there is also a trade-off between economic, financial performance on one hand side and environmental and social performance on the other hand side, which means that what companies tend to achieve more of one, it actually means less of the other. And that actually comes from many different reasons. However, one of the key reasons that I would like to point out here is actually the functioning of our whole economic system, and especially financial system and the exchange market, which actually dominantly evaluates the performance of companies still on the basis of financial performance. And as long as that stays in that way, well, environmental and social performance will probably be achieved, less achieved will not be achieved to the extent as attention will be given to financial performance of companies. There are two main drivers of corporate sustainability that actually motivate or stimulate companies to work on sustainability issues, so environmental and social issues. That is, of course, regulatory compliance and achievement of competitive advantage. Regulatory compliance is a field that actually is quite complex for companies. There were some very good initiatives and some very good progress starting in 2014 with the non-financial reporting directive. And then in 22, its place has been taken by the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, which actually affected a larger number of companies, which are now, for which it is mandatory to prepare non-financial or sustainability reports. So that is an improvement, which coincides very well with the also improvement in the area of global reporting standards. These standards, these are GRI, that are maybe most widely used or broadly used by companies around the world. And in 2021, there were considerable improvements in the standards as well that led to the improvement of the quality of the reports. So the directive led to the increased number of companies for which the reporting is mandatory. Sustainability reporting and the improvement in GRI standards actually led to the improvement of the quality of the reports. Those improvements came dominantly on the basis of the improvement in the definition of materiality principle and boundaries of disclosure. So materiality principle actually defines what is this that the companies need to report about when it comes to sustainability issues. And then boundaries of disclosure means that companies cannot only report on the issues related to their business entity, but actually also on business relationships, which leads to reporting along the value chain or the supply chain to which these companies belong to. So the regulatory compliance is one of the reasons that companies are sort of pushed into measuring better and reporting better on sustainability issues and performance. In doing this, some industries are, of course, in more focus for its negative impact on the environment, so they are under more pressure, and due to regulations, but also innovation and so on, it's expected that these industries will be probably disrupted by the movement into the circular economy direction and sustainability. And it is, as also Professor Kish said, about the adjustment that these industries and the companies belonging to these industries need to go through, and actually the transformation they need to go through in order to remain still at the market and survive. Another driver besides regulatory compliance is competitive position or advantage, which actually relates to this intrinsic motivation of companies that comes from within companies to actually embrace the changes and to actually adjust to them. And as it was the case before, so it has nothing to do with sustainability, but actually has to do with innovative trends and continuous innovations and transformations that are happening, radical changes that are happening from time to time. Companies have to adjust, otherwise they will not be able to actually survive or to keep their competitive position, because sustainability seems to be really a trend that is there to stay. A large part of business literature is actually devoted to this question. Does sustainability actually increase financial performance of companies? And this question has been thoroughly addressed in the business literature, and it is probably because companies want to make sure that there is a business case, a financial feasibility of sustainability initiatives that would actually at the same time lead to the increase of financial performance. So it defines actually, the answer actually provides the support for whether to invest or not in sustainability. And just to continue along this question, there are actually many studies already done, and they show that indeed there is a positive correlation between financial performance and sustainability. 63% of those studies show that. However, it's also important actually to understand what are the reasons for that. Well, of course, investing in sustainability leads to risk mitigation. So basically avoiding the risk of fines and also negative media attention, which enables companies to protect their own brand. But it is also in a sense an opportunity that there is a growing market for sustainable goods, products and services, so the companies that are able to offer those sustainable goods, products and services actually are able to capture the part of the market that is actually growing. And there is, of course, a direct correlation also with the financial performance and the sustainability, when sustainability at the same time leads to cost reduction and productivity uplift. And these are all recognized as opportunities for companies which engage in sustainability initiatives. But I would like to just reflect on this question and actually pay your attention to the fact that this might actually not be the right question, because there is enough of evidence, especially for environmental science, saying that sustainability is not, we should not be asking the question whether we should do it, is actually how to do it. And that means that in the area of business sustainability, we need to actually find a ways how to measure the impact that the companies are making on a whole range of sustainability issues. And that measurement has to be in the same of comparable quality as the financial measurement in order to ensure that the companies are evaluated at the financial market in a comprehensive way. So not only on a partial part of their performance, which is financial, but actually the one that includes their whole impact, which includes sustainability impact. And as long as that doesn't happen, then sustainability will not be embedded so strongly and completely in the business strategies of companies. But in order to do that, there is a whole range of challenges, and this is just a short list of it, and these are specifically from the perspective of companies. First is the materiality analysis. Actually, even companies that would like to really engage seriously in sustainability, they need a lot of effort and analysis to actually figure out what are the most important sustainability issues that they need to be reporting about. And once that is discovered, then what are the right measurements and which standards to follow? They are also in seeking of the models and tools that could support the specific decision-making in companies that could actually compare different sustainability initiatives. What are the criteria to use for that? And another challenge is actually the monetization of the benefits coming from sustainability initiatives, because the costs and investments are also very obvious and clear, but the benefits which happen in the longer run, in the future and in the longer run, are very often intangible and very often very difficult to monetize. Which doesn't help is actually the very often lacking consumer interest and awareness. It very often happens also in developing countries with much more other problems to worry about, such as standard and income. Then there is this hesitant company culture, which is completely understandable, because companies that invest so much in the development of certain competencies and actually are very successful in the production of certain product find it very difficult to then abandon all of that and actually reinvent themselves to be engaged in completely other more sustainable alternatives. Some elements are so deeply ingrained in our existing systems, such as low prices of virgin materials, that doesn't help with making the right decisions in companies. Operating in a linear system means that sometimes even when companies really would like to do the improvements, they actually depend on all of their partners within the supply chain, and they cannot do it alone. So you need to get the buy-in of multiple stakeholders and multiple partners in the supply chain in order to go on with certain sustainability initiatives. And of course, high upfront investment costs, which are not very well balanced with those intangible benefits that come only in the future. And I would like to end, hopefully on time then, my presentation with a conclusion that actually circular economy and sustainability would need to be understood as really deep systemic innovations, instead of just twisting the status quo. And this doesn't require transition anymore. It requires really radical changes, a transformation. And for that, we have to first change the paradigm that we use for our economic system, but not only economic system, it's also about the education. For example, we also need to transform our education so that education can be transformative in nature to support the education of managers that in the future will run companies on a different basis, I would say. So this is maybe the main message I would like to end with, and I thank you for your attention. And of course, I will be very willing to take any questions at this point or later on as it better fits with the program of the conference. Thank you.
So, thank you, Biljana. Stay with us, please, until the end of the session to hear some comments or questions from our visitors and our guests. Now we can go further and continue perhaps in Serbian. Đorđe Jovanović, profesor Đorđe Jovanović iz Matice Srpske će održati svoju prezentaciju prema agendi. Đorđe, izvolite.
Molim, jedan samo ovde, samo da se šere, ako moguće, preko Zooma, da to ne moram da. Honorable Presidency, colleagues, I'm pleased to be able to present my work at this conference under the title Circular Bioeconomy is Contemporary Innovative Concept and Business Model. In the following, I will speak in Serbian and the slides will be in English. Izvinjam se, ali mislim da ovo nije uvaženo. Da. Da li možete samo da Pa evo, poštovane koleginice, poštovane koleginice i kolege, ovo što vidite u ovom animaciju koja je ovdje vama, ne znam da li generacija, ne znam da je rekao se područje to ovdje govoriti. Oprostite na tome, ovo što ćete imati, to je biti hvala. Ja ću ovoje držbe od reči, od jezika, ja ću veoma brzo prelaziti neke slajde od prezentacije, predviđene da se daleko možete izgledati. A ovo što ću govoriti, i po prvi put ću sada reći neke stvari koje u Srbiji stavljaju njihove teme. I ja vas molim da izgledate to mogućnosti da zajedno budete koncentrisani, veoma brzo ću prelaziti neke slajde, pa neću moći da tebe kažem. Ovo što vidite i animacija koju vidite ovdje, to je ta zelena motiva, to je ta zelena ekonomija, to je, kad kažemo zelena ekonomija, kod nas mi ekonomiju doživljavamo kao nešto što nije ekonomija, to je zelena privreda. Ovo što vidite je privredna lokomotiva, ovo što vidite je nešto što zapravo je sve koji je sve zapravo danas. To je upravo sve ovo, simbolička poruka ovog slajda jeste to. Sadržaj prezentacije koju vidite ovdje, bit će prvo nešto o konceptu održivosti, o kritičnim materijalima, koji će vjerojatno biti prvi pričajno u Srbiji, jedan deo toga, o delovanju cirkularne bioekonomije, evoluciju, okvir i cirkularni dizajn, održivost, alati održivosti u cirkularnoj, odnosno bioekonomiji, kako to su standardi i u velikom meri će se na određene načine dovezati na kolonicu tešnih vremena. Inovativnim biznis modelima, koje su to alati, koje su to akcije na kraju, ono što je najvažnije, gde se ja to u svemu ovome, o čemu ću vam sad govoriti, nalazim, koje su to moje iskustva koje sam u svojoj dosadašnjoj radnoj praksi primijenio i gde i kako. Prvo, koncept održivosti, imali smo prilike da čujemo ovo što vidite ovdje, ljudska evolucija, nažalost, pre 2 godine pokojni profesor Tom Beck, koji je jedan od modernih autora menadžmenta ili ljudi koji su praktikovali to. Šta ovo predstavlja? Ovo predstavlja ljudsku evoluciju. Ljudska evolucija, vidite ovdje kako je predstavljena od ranih klanova do ovoga danas što je politički pogledan svet, korporativnih država, postoji 8 različitih nivoa vrednosti. Ovo što vidite, to je ono što je postojeće trenutno na ovoj planeti koja se zove Zemlja ovako. Zašto sve ovo pokazujem? Da bi u stvari uveo u čitavu ovu ideju o tome što želim da kažem i što jeste predmet današnjice. Naime, vidite, ovo je ovdje, gore. Holistički bazični motive su, znači, čitava zemlja i dinamika na makro nivou. Ključni način razmišljanja holistički, šta su strukture globalne mreže i ključni proces, kao što vidite ovdje, je ekološki. Imali smo prilike da vidimo ovo, ja se zaista prelećem preko ovih slajdova, pogledajte 9. ovaj cilj, na njemu ću se posebno zadržavati. Šta su ključni problemi danas? Kao što vidite evo ih ovde, to su materijali, energija, i to su emisije i otpad. Triple bottom line, imali smo prilike da čujemo. Trendovi, evo pogledajte veoma brzo, ću preko ovog slajda, nažalost, veoma nepovoljni. Evo tu isto tako jedan deo tih trendova, veoma nepovoljni, nažalost trendovi koji su prisutni. Te prisutni i zbog toga između ostalog je ključni kriv. Čekajte, kaže driver, znači motiva za ovo o čemu danas govorimo. Ako nastavimo ovako, bit će nam potrebno, kao što vidite, za neko vreme vezano za ekološki otisak i uopšte u potrošnju resursa, dve ovakve planete. Kad bi se svi ponašali i kad bi imali zahtev kao stanovnici Koreje, onda bi to bilo 8,4 ljudi Koreje, a ovakvih zemalja da bi zadovoljilo zahtev, ili kad bi se svi ponašali na taj način, kao recimo Australijanci ili Amerikanci, vidite 5 ovakvih planeta bi bilo potrebno. Vode mnogo se. Imate priliku da vidite koliko je vode potrebno za neki od prehrambenih artikala koji su ovde prikazani. Nažalost, ovakav način upotrebe resursa je potpuno neodrživ, čak i Srbija negde početkom jula meseca potrošila sve resurse za ovu godinu. Znači, mi na ovaj način koristimo tuđe resurse, maltene od polovine ove godine i Srbije je u ovoj zoni zemalja koje se ponaša neodrživo. Od 72. godine Rimskog kluba limiti rast i sve ostalo što je počelo čitava ova ideja o priča o životnim sredinama, do Pariskog protokola 4 puta je potrošnja resursa povećana. To je potpuno neodrživo, vidite kakvi su dalje trendovi u ovom smislu. Vidite ovdje, ja zaista nemam vremena da se sad na ovakve slajdove zadržavam, koji su jako interesantni. Svega 10% od ukupne svetske ekstrakcije resursa se koristi u segmentu povratka, odnosno reciklaže. Kad govorimo o klimatskim promenama, o tome će sve tako biti reći, da bi došli do one famozne 1,5% koji je predviđen Pariskim protokolom, evo vidite, more stvari treba da se uči. I ovaj drugi deo koji se odnosi, što sam rekao, da verovatno po prvi put će biti rečeno, je samo jedan od tih delova koji će po prvi put biti rečeno, odnosno kazani. A to su kritični materijali kao cirkularni dalje. Vidite, ovde gore imate kritične materijale, ovo su samo slabe, znači slabe i veoma slabe veze. Vidite na šta sve, uključujući cirkularnu ekonomiju, klimatske promene i održivost, kritični materijali utiču. Zašto vam pokazujem ovo? Zato što je to ključna danas geopolitička između ostalog stvar, a naravno i treba se odnoviti privrede. Prema tome, 2020. godine Evropska unija je napravila listu kritičnih materijala. Ja ću vam sad pokazati kako ta lista izgleda. Vidjet ćete u čemu se stoji lista, vidjet ćete naravno, ovde će biti 30 različitih materijala, elemenata. Ovo je prvi 15. Sledećih 15 je ovde, vidite da boksit, litijum, stroncijum, tako to je naravno famozni litijum, od 2020. su dodati na ovu listu kao kritični materijal. Kako da izgleda periodni sistem, ne mogu se zadržavati puno i sajno ovome, vidite tu su koji materijale, vidite gore, naravno litijum, vidite grupa platinum, metala, tako je zove, i ovo što posebno hoću da naglasim, što poseban problem, to su ove, izvinjam se samo još jednom, to je ovaj deo koji se odnosi na retke zemlje, takozvane retke zemlje, vidite što čega to govorim, sad pre danas se čuje da Kina ukida nemačke retke zemlje i tako dalje. Sledeća stvar, kako izgleda trend od 2017. do 2020. godine, upravo vezani za retke zemlje i sve ove materijale, tu, ja se zaista neću ovdje zadržavati, gde se koriste u različitih, pogotovo savremenim tehnologijama, zapravo ovakvi materijali. Evo, to je tu, vidite gore ovog crvena, to je upravo taj deo koji se odnosi na retke zemlje, zašto se koriste za baterije, gore večere i tako dalje, obnovljeni izvori energije, elektromobilnost, i naravno odbrambena industrija. I ono što sad jeste, ovo je sve bio jedan, kažem, brzi uvod u sve ovo o čemu se dalje počeli govorim, a to je cirkularna, odnosno zelena ekonomija, evolucija, okvir i cirkularni dizajn. Uopšte, zelena ekonomija, nepodeljeno mišljenje, to su glavni izvori, vodu management, čisti transport, zeleno gospodarstvo, otpad i kontrola otpada i na kraju management zapravo zemljište i resursa. Kako izgledaju te veze između bioekonomije i zelene ekonomije? Cirkularna ekonomija, ovaj plavi deo koji vidite, uglavnom se odnosi na neorganski deo, znači na neorganske nutrijente, a ovo se odnosi na organske nutrijente. Vidite, imamo bioekonomiju i biozasnovanu ekonomiju. Ja sad opet ne mogu da se zadržavamo da objašnjenju koncepta, jer stvarno ima toliko toga što želim da vam pokažem, a to mislim da je veliki značaj. Vidite razliku između linearnog koncepta ekonomije i koncepta cirkularne ekonomije od momenta ekstrakcije resursa do momenta kada taj resurs postaje otpočeljeni do cirkularnog gdje u jednom zakonu. Šta je ključna evolucija ovakvih jednih koncepta i šta su utjecaje? Kao što vidite ovdje, vidimo ovdje utjecaje. Sa utjecaj, evo vidite, ovo o čemu smo pričali, tu je naravno plava ekonomija, tu je naravno industrijska ekologija, imamo ovaj predlog sistem, o čemu ću ja naravno govoriti. Šta su ključni elementi ovoga, to je biznis model, jedan od ključnih elementa, materijali produkcijnih dizajna proizvoda i naravno cirkularni tokovi i sve to dolazimo do jednog političkog pristupa, a taj politički pristup je upravo pristup cirkularne ekonomije. Šta to drugim rečima znači? Okvir cirkularne ekonomije imamo taj biznis model koji zapravo je tu ključan. Ja opet kažem, to su prepravka, popravka, refabrikacija, cirkulisanje, plaćanje po upotrebi, leasing, iznajmljivanje, sharing i tako dalje. To su sve biznis modeli koji postoje. Na srpskom jeziku ne postoji izraz enables and accelerators. Znači, to su omogućivači i ubrzivači i šta su to ovdje između ostalog napisano, ja zaista sad ne mogu sve ovo da objašnjavam, ali ključna stvar i o tome ćemo govoriti o ubrzivačima, to je legislativa, različiti produžena proizvodna odgovornost, product stewardship, različiti standardi o čemu ću ja sada govoriti. To su prva dva elementa okvira. Sljedeći element okvira je takav dizajn koji omogućava duže korišćenje i oporavak, zatim sigurno i snabdevanje i održivi inputi i na kraju procesni dizajn. To su ključni elementi onoga o čemu govorimo kao cirkularna ekonomija. Naravno, na kraju svi ovi praktično tokovi oporavka. Vidimo da su to ponovna upotreba, preprodaja, prodaja, deljenje, održavanje, reparacija, refabrikacija. To su sve elementi koji čine ovo o čemu govorimo kao cirkularna ekonomija. Šta je ključno? I naravno reciklaža. Šta je ključna stvar ovdje? Da se prioritizuje, znači stavi se kao prioritet onaj najkraći tok oporavka. Sada ćete vidjeti na sljedećem slajdu o čemu je u stvari reč. Ovo je veoma poznati butterfly diagram LMK Fondacije, gde vidite ovdje to su tehnički ovdje nutrijenti, a ovo su biološki nutrijenti. Vidite da zapravo ovo su ključni elementi, sve kraći ovdje ovi tokovi, oni u stvari najviše doprinose tamo. Ne mogu se izdržavati, jako interesantan slajd koji upravo govori o svemu ovome. Sljedeći isto tako interesantan slajd koji govori konceptualnom osobi kada sve ovo samo je prikazano na ovakav način. Isto i o ovome što je dio ekonomije kao tako, koje je mnogo više u ovom smislu ekonomije. Evo recimo šumski menadžment primjena ovako recimo šumarstvu. Određeni delovi drveta zašto se na koji način mogu koristiti. Koleginica isto imala referisali smo se očigledno na OECD, ja sam evo ovdje uzeo cirkularnu ekonomiju i cirkularni dizajn, čemu zapravo jeste reč. Kako to izgleda? Znači, ovo je ovaj uobičajeni koncept cradle to grave, znači od zapravo svega onoga što su ekstrakcije resursa do kraja životnog ciklusa u standardnom modelu. Vidite imamo, vidite element koji se, odnosno model reciklaže i vidite model cirkularne ekonomije, odnosno od kolevke do kolevke. Ja sad pokušavam zaista najkraće da i vizualno prikažem, pa evo vidite, šta su elementi cirkularne ekonomije? Koristi manje. To je, sad ne mogu opet ići u praksi šta to konkretno znači. Biće 4 modela, u praksi svaki od ovih modela nešto znači. Ali zaista zbog vremena i ostalih ponekih, ja stvarno ne mogu sad, a drage volje bi upravo, ali govorit ću nešto u glavnom mojim iskustvima, pa će onda to nadam se nadomestiti. Znači, usporavati ciklus, koristiti ga ljude, regenerisati, koristiti iste inpute, energije i tako dalje, ponovno korišćenje isto tako kao jedan princip. Naravno imamo taj segment biosfere, odnosno bionutrijenata i segment tehničkih zapravo nutrijenata. Naravno tu postoji određeni pasuši koji za ovakve stvari postoje ovdje, to se ne mogu se zadržavati. Naravno, šta je cirkularna ekonomija, opet smo to da vidimo na prethodnih slajdovima, pa i tu da se zadržavam. Zašto je cirkularna ekonomija značajna za biznis? Veoma značajno pitanje, između ostalog, smanjuje rizike, koriste se materijali efikasnije, zadržava se i izgrađuje vrednosti, identifikuje mogućnosti za biznis, pojačava lojalnost brenda. U tome smislu tako imali da čujemo od koleginica Pešelj. Znači, izgradnja lanca snabdevanja čini da investitori budu sretni navodnicima preko onih izveštaja o kojima koleginica govorila i redukuje se izborna odluka. Četvrti deo, koji su to alati za cirkularnu bioekonomiju? Pre svega, kompanija kao takva mora da bude opredeljena za ovakav jedan pristup. Ako kompanija nije opredeljena za ovakav pristup, od toga nema ništa, to su pravne reči, lepi slajdovi, lepe priče i tako dalje, ali kompanija mora da bude opredeljena za ovakav. Sljedeća stvar, ja ću govoriti veoma kratko o 3 alata održivosti koji su, ja sam ih evo odabrao, mislim da su često upotrebi danas u svetu, a odnose se na kradu delu, znači od kolevke do kolevke, o ekološkoj deklaraciji proizvoda i naravno o oceni životnog ciklusa. Kredal, to je jedan danas u svetu najrazvijeniji standard za ovakvu vrstu proizvoda koji pretenduju da budu ovakvi. I da budu naravno cirkularni, sigurni i imaju odgovornost prema svemu onome što smo rekli da je odgovornost i nepravnog tipa. I više od dekade je ovakav pristup primjenjen za kako to izgleda, znači vidimo opet tehnički i biološki da je jedan deo prelazi u drugi deo zapravo ciklusa i oni mogu da se na određeni način stvaraju i da postoji različita cirkularnost i to da se zove od kolevke jednog resursa do kolevke drugog resursa preko cirkularnog mehanizma. Šta su ključni elementi ovog sistema? To su takozvano zdravlje materijala, odnosno nije to zdravlje materijala kao materijala, nego utjecaj materijala na ljudsko zdravlje životnog sredine za proizvod koji se koristi. Znači, u kojoj meri to dugo može da bude cirkularno, socijalna pitanja, produžena odgovornost proizvoda vezano za zemljište, vodu, uopšte segment emisija i naravno evo tu pogotovo clean air and climate protection. Znači, to su tih 5 elementa koji govori o ovome kraju sistemu. Evo vidite ovo isto tako, ja neću tu je napisano sve ovo, da mislim sad govorio, još je ovih 5 elementa. Kako se to radi? Evo vidite opet 5 elemenata dole, povećava se sve ono, znači način kako take and use and reuse things, eliminisanje otpada i izgradnje samog koncepta cirkularne ekonomije. Naravno, još jednom kako može cirkularna ekonomija, odnosno prerad sistem koji se primenjuje kao alat, da podigne pominjene elemente o kojima sam govorio, način kako se procenjuje, evo vidite ovdje dva ciklusa, evo vidite postoje 5 nekih elementa ocene, kako mogu da bude bronzana, srebrna, zlatna i elementarna. Tako da, to je to, što se tiče nekako. Šta je pitanje životne sredine, odnosno procena efekta samog proizvoda tokom čitavog životnog ciklusa proizvoda, odnosno life cycle assessment, LCA, uglavnom se koristi ovaj LCA sistem. Znači, LCA koristi za informacije biznisu da razume, upravlja i komunicira ekološki utjecaj i impakt svojih proizvoda na životnu sredinu. Ja sad ovdje opet ne mogu da se zadržavam previše zato što sam negdje na duljini. Da objašnjavam kako radi LCA. Ja sam inače i koristim, da ću objasniti ovdje mojih iskustava, pa da onda ne idem ovakav jedan sistem. Tako da, tu postoji naravno elementi koji se odnose na LCA. Ono što je bitno, između ostalog, bitno je da se sagledaju svi elementi da postojimo mogućnosti između ostalog da govorimo o cirkularnom pristupu, mogućnost predstavljaju svi elementi ekonomije kao najsavremeniji proizvod koji je za masovnu upotrebu, na koji način je moguće izvršiti ovakav jedan pristup, realno pristup. Evo ovdje Ray-Ban autora, recimo jedan od načina, isto tako Ray-Ban autora. Evo vidite mobilni telefon, odnosno smo govorili kritični materijali, mobilni telefon, imamo da se zamenjuju telefonu i tako da. Znači, to su sve elementi. Evo vidite kozmetici, kako je tu da scenariju ovakav jedne kozmetičkih proizvode koji su pakovani u plastici, zapravo oni nažalost uglavnom ne završavaju plastikove plaži, što je, da ne ulazim sad u taj segment, uglavnom tehnički manje više nemoguće. Uglavnom završavaju spaljivanjem, međutim bioplastika i taj scenarij uglavnom ideja je da se završi u segmentu kompostiranja u najboljoj varijanti. Naravno, opet da ne ulazim sad u ovaj deo, vidite biozasnovane i biodegradabile proizvode, a sa druge strane imamo nedegradabile i proizvode koje su zasnovani na nafti. Kapaciteti za bioplastiku u svetu danas se značajno povećavaju, vidite, najveći, odnosno istok najveći kapacitet trenutno za bioplastiku. Šta treći alat koji ću govoriti, to je ekološka deklaracija proizvoda. Ona je u stvari skraćena verzija LCA, naučno zasnovano ono što se stavlja na proizvod, to je kao ono što imate na proizvodu, šta proizvod čini, to je jedna vrsta tvrdnje koja je vezana za naučnu zasnovanost. Imamo i tvrdnje koje su samo deklarišuće, koje se vezuju za određene elemente standarda 14.024, koji zapravo govore 14.020, standardi koji govore o ekološkim odlikama tipa 1.2. O tome ću malo kasnije govoriti. Znači, šta je to, upravo vidite šta je ekološka zasnovanost proizvoda, to su zapravo, zbog čega to znači? Kada se pravi proizvod, koji su to materijali koji su korišćeni, na koji način su korišćeni i tako dalje, i pogotovo to znači reprodukcije potrošača koji namjeravaju da odlože između ostalog svoje. Naravno, radi se o tome na koji način vezano opet za karbon emisije, za različita vrsta životnog ciklusa pojedinih elemenata tog proizvoda, da li u pitanju sadržaje, recimo ako je u pitanju pakovanje ili sam proizvod kao takav, ali to je sve ono što je ovakav jedan sistem dobro. Zašto je to značajno između ostalog, kao što vidite ovdje, opet da napravim ove napise. značajne i vlade, u ovom slučaju supermarketi i tako dalje, i tako dalje. Koje su to poslovne mogućnosti kada primenjujemo ovakav sistem? Evo vidite da unapred to izgleda da se bolje financiraju, da poslovni kompetitivni prenos, na recimo tenderima, da se identifikuju rizici i naravno da se vrši benchmarking sopstvenog proizvoda sa nekim nekom drugom kompanijom sa pojavim. I koji su to na kraju rezultati? Jači udeo, bolje snabdevanje partnera, jača reputacija brenda i na kraju niži troškovi, odnosno smanjeni rizici i sve ono što kasnije može da proistekne iz tih rizika i neželjeni nekih proizvoda. Naravno, ovde sam neću se izdržavati isto tako oko svega ovoga. Postoji, odnosno Evropski savet za remanufakturу, znači ponovnu proizvodnju. Između ostalog, ambicija ovog saveta je da se podigne ova upravo stopa na 90 miliona milijardi, znači do 2030. godine. Šta je razvoj? Šta su ključni driveri uopšte za sve ovo? Znači, rizici, vidite koji, mogućnosti biznisa, tehnološko-tehničko pitanja i biznis pitanja, evo ovde su pobrojana. Peti deo se odnosi na to kako isti standardi mogu da pomognu svemu onome što su ciljevi održivog razvoja, a vezuje se za ekonomiju, o čemu i koleginica govorila više jedne deo. Naravno, ISO standardi, evo vidite, ISO je međunarodna agencija Institut za standardizaciju. Ili sa ciljem standardizacije, to je prvo to kada. Standardizacija je upravo vezana sa međunarodnom trgovinom. To je jedan ključnih razloga za standardizaciju. Znači, isto standardi, ja ću se naravno to da spremno brzo vidite na stotine i na hiljade, evo vidite 14.000 zapravo je ovaj cilj 9. U cirkularnoj ekonomiji zapravo i u ovom izveštaju govori se o hitnosti. Zašto? Upravo zbog svih ovih elemenata i jednostavno ovi standardi mogu biti nada. Kako izgledaju su standardi u segmentu koji se odnosi na komunikat A207, komunikat za životnu sredinu. Vidite koji je broj kompletnih standarda, vidite broj podkomiteta i vidite šta svaki podkomitet koji se ovo radi. Koji su standardi, koji su to elementi, to su materijalne i cirkulacioni dizajn standardi koji se nalaze u okviru 14.000, pametne 14.000. Climate change and gasne staklene bašte, ekološko izveštavanje i zeleno finansiranje. Ovo ću po prvi put sad vidjeti znači, evo vidite ovdje elementi gasne staklene bašte i sve ostalo, koliko je standarda usvojeno i šta se u stvari sve ovdje radi u okviru ovog pitanja. Ovo se razvije komitet za cirkularnu ekonomiju. Ovo je jedan od najnovijih standarda, ja sam ga dobio evropski standard u novembru mesecu, koji se upravo odnosi na metode cirkularnog dizajna proizvoda. Koji su to biznis modeli? Evo, u organizaciji Nacionalna konferencija američka postoje u Americi, ona primeni ovakve modele. Vidite, ako bi se 90% recikliralo šarizovali. Kako stoje stvari u Srbiji? Zelena agenda, vidite, 5 elementa. Zelene agende, odnosno 5 stubova koji su ključni, izazovi su na administrativnom nivou, isto tako na biznis nivou, privatne kompanije, kako to izgleda, malo i srednje preduzeće, inovacije, usvajanje eko-civilnog tipa i eko-preduzetništvo. Naravno, tu je uloga i Privredne komore Srbije i kako značajna. I na kraju, evo da kažem, pošto čujem da je isteklo vreme. Evo samo nešto da kažem o mojem iskustvu. Prvo, u narodnoj industriji Srbije, kada sam radio na inženjerim pogodima, ja sam primjenjivao principe neznajući primenjenjem, kada se proizvede van specifikacija, on se samo vrati na slobodni regulator da reduciraju naftu i ponovo praktično pokušavamo preko svih pogodnih da dođemo do nivoa kvalitete koje je potrebno propise staviti. Kada sam bio zaposlen u Ministarstvu životne sredine, bio sam zadužen za 6 zakona, između ostalog to je bio zakon o otpadu, zakon o ambalažnom otpadu. Na taj način je razvijen uopšte ovaj sistem, negdje se govori 10.000 radnih mesta posle usvajanja tih zakona otvoreno, koji se vezuju uglavnom za reciklažu. Kada sam radio u javnom komunalnom preduzeću Gradskog Novi Sad, onda sam odmah uveo sistem održavanja javnih zelenih površina, kompostiranih, znači ovo je bio kontekst, i stvaranje zemljišnih supstrata, kvalitetnih kao posledica aktivnosti. U Institutu za standardizaciju Srbije, ovo o čemu govorimo, radim 25 godina vezano za KS-7, odnosno familiju standarda, prevođenje stvaranje standarda serije istorijskih I. Naravno, i na kraju ovaj monetarnički segment, kada sam na ekonomskom fakultetu u Srbiji, na disponirao sam bilo jedno zanimljivo, ja sam opet govorio da sam učio kad sam biti nezaposlen životne sredine, primjenjivao sam jedan od standarda koji sam 98. godine preveo u okviru, a to je standard upravo koji se odnosi na LCA. Znači, ja sam koristio LCA kao metodološki okvir, to sam isto radio za doktorat, kao za temu ekološke posledice proizvodnje korišćenja motornih benzina se izbiramo na bazi ovoga na aktivnosti, to je asocijacije centara za interdisciplinarne i multidisciplinarne studije na u Novom Sadu. I sve ovo što sada radim i izbirao ekološku zelena cirkularna ekonomija, politikom za redovne profesore i još neke druge spore koje imam, mi izučavamo između ostalog da studentima na ovakav način, a respektujući i ova moja iskustva zapravo od toga dobro. U prirodi otpad kao takav ne postoji. To je krajnja poruka. Mi ovdje pokušavamo preko ovih koncepta da simuliramo i tehnički nutrijenata i bionutrijenata da zapravo čitav ovaj sistem koji se ovdje može što je više moguće sa jednim fantastično uređenim sistemom koji jeste prirodno. Opet se gledamo perspektiva. U oku posmatrača je često ono što vidi ili šta mu se čini da vidi. Na kraju je jedne poruke. Ja se zahvaljujem, oprostite ako se malo ovo vreme prviči. Hvala.
Hvala da ste bili sa nama je i naša kolegica održana iz ugla privatnog sektora, je tako, iz ugla preduzetnika praktično objasniti malo svoje viđenje ovih koncepata. Imate li prezentaciju?
Moja prezentacija je ovdje. Evo je ta, to je moja prezentacija, jeste samo gdje su nam, ovdje su nam, delimo ove kolege, samo da vidimo gdje delimo.
Sad ćemo podeliti, vi ništa.
Eto je to, i onako sam već to je vrlo najstrašnije. Da, ovo. Da. Ekofung je ta zelenkast.
Ovo žele?
Da. Na screen. Ne, evo ga, sljedeći kolega.
Da mi smo gubili vreme, ja moram čistiti jednu anegdotu. 2000. godine jer smo imali savršenu konferenciju u Maastrichtu u Peturkarsu i obaveza je bilo da se donese CD.
I svi smo mi, znate da auditorium je bio od 1000 ljudi, svi smo bili više koncentrisani na taj CD nego na ono što je trebalo da kažem, i dok je na kraju profesor Blančević izvadio folije, znate, stavio na grafoskop i rekao ovdje nema greške. Tako i mi se izgibo smo sa ovim našim prezentacijama. Samo da vidim, ova stranica, kolega, ova stranica. Ova, da. Yes, it is okay. It's okay. Thank you very much. My presentation is on Serbian, and because of our guest who are with today, I would like to speak in English. So please, my English is not very well, but I think that it is nice, and presentation will be on English side. I am very glad that Professor Bian, I think, before just mentioned that from 2015 until 2023, we didn't move a lot in activities regarding the fulfilling of the task which the sustainability goals have given to us. Unfortunately, my presentation is based on that. But before that I start, I would like first of all to thank you very much for inviting me to be here, because for one small entrepreneur it's extremely rare chance to be honored by presentation on economy faculty of our university. And I truly believe that it will be all the start, beginning of our further collaboration. So thank you very much. I am honored, Professor. So why we are here? I will tell you. EcoFund is a small enterprise established 20 years ago in Belgrade in Mađarska. We have been involved in the zero emission research initiative from 1998, thanks to our work and collaboration with Professor Peter Pauli. By the way, that foundation has been involved in the creation of the Kyoto Protocol. So, we had, thanks to the umbrella and under umbrella of the Zero Emission Research Initiative, we had realized all around the world more than 10 projects. Today, we named Circular Economy Project. In that moment, it hadn't been named Circular Economy, but it was based on the concept of waste to taste. Our EcoFund and our activities have been emphasized as one of the 100 examples in the Rome Club report, which had been published later on as a book environment. So, OECD, or how it is spelled, I'm sorry, have been emphasized as a unique circular economy company on Southeast Europe. And I was very proud of that. And thanks to that, we founded ourselves in the roadmap, or how it's named in English, of our Minister of Environment. So that qualified us to be here and to ask you and tell you that we have to do something urgently, because unfortunately, this is a situation, and this famous slide everybody knows, but unfortunately, we have everything. We have a project, initiative, strategy, roadmap, conference, congress, are there promising budgets, excuse, everyththing we have. But for the 8 years, from the beginning of this conference, we are still here. And see, this is where we are today. So I believe that beside all what we had declared, we are still on the very beginning, and unfortunately, I think here in Serbia, even in worse position than it had been in 2015, because of the many reasons, but let's say, so my role and my goal here is that not to be pessimistic and to be negative, or even, of course, not to be critical, because I am not I'm not authority who can allow myself to be critical, but I will explain what we have done. So I think that if we create more than small actions, we have done much more than all strategic decisions at once what can be done. So what we have today, we have this situation, we have a document. This is our let's say, installation, what we had made at the beginning, let's say 3-4 years ago. And it is artistic work based only on the mushrooms, on the substrate, and created by our dear colleague. Those round things are material, mycelium-based material. These skulls are also mycelium-based material, and of course you see a wonderful mushrooms. And this is documentation. Super good, super nice, super useful, but good for nothing. Because on the other side we had what we had on the previous slide. On the right side is reality. And reality is not maybe so fancy, it's not maybe so nice, but it's something which leads us into the better tomorrow and better world. So, what we had to do urgently, we had just to follow what the nature do and just to try to apply the model of the natural movement into our daily life. And it is not a huge step. It is only a little bit movement what all of us can do, especially now as entrepreneurship daily life. So I would like to, of course, this is my field of expertise, and I have to give you the example of my field of expertise. It is the mushroom production. So when you write articles and lots of reports, and then you will always say that mushroom production is unique technological process for converting long organic molecules used into the small, acceptable for the human nutrition. So this is super good sentence, and it will promote mushroom production like really very good agricultural branch from that circular sustainable point of view. But what's happened in the reality? This is happening in reality. In the mainstream production of macro industry, in focus it is industry. And professor, you just told me no, you cannot be organic for the producer because if mushroom were to produce, it never tastes like the wildlife. It is not true because it can, but not on that way. Because in the mainstream production, which is not circular, the industry is in the focus, and still nobody does think about the real biology of the mushroom, what she really needs. Everybody is talking about harvest tractor, big machinery, big industry, and they forgot that at the end of the day, without matter, do we have production in huge industry farm or in very small mushroom farm, that biology of that organism is the same. So that mushroom does not care where she is growing, she needs the same. So that's how EcoFungi turned paradigm and made a total different approach, and that was how we became what we are today. In intensive production, you have a good yield, good, but not stable profit, and about the quality I don't want to discuss. Go in Maxi supermarket, buy the mushroom in the 1400 grams, and all about the quality would be told at once. Then we have unflexible inputs because instead that we are looking what is in our surrounding, we are delivered in Holland, in Poland, they deliver the straw from Spain. Where LCA professor mentioned, where is the sense to transport the straw from one to the other part of Europe? So transport costs are huge. We had absolutely looking like this, only mainstream and nothing more. And at the end, we have competition. EcoFungi as a blue economy or circular or call whatever SME, we are focused on quality. And all can be checked if you want once when you visit us. Then we have drastically CO2 reduction and total excluding energy in the production of the substrate, which is definitely absolutely out of the box in our mushroom world. We have an approach basically based because we are focused on the raw material, which is only in surrounding of 30 kilometers around our production. And it means that it is not only here in Belgrade, wherever we are working, and we are working all around the world, we are looking for the available raw materials in our surrounding. So we have a practical solution which are based on the science. We are listening what science has to say, and we are facing a collaboration for competition. And Professor Bidener has our dear colleagues in Rotterdam who are doing with us, and just today we are launching a new product which is created together with our colleague from Rotterdam, which really means a lot in this world where always only about the competition is talking. And how it's happened? Yeah. And what is the differences between this slide and 2 slides before? This green cycle biology and physiology. Ecology only is focused on the biology of the organism, on mushroom, and we are looking to meet her demands. We don't care about hardware, software. We are looking to where the mushroom is growing in the nature, when she is growing in the nature. Don't laugh that I'm saying she and her. She. That is exactly because it is a little organizer which needs to grow. And what she needs stress, nutrition, and blah, blah. So this is the same what we want to achieve in the growing unit. And so we don't care, is it expensive, is it low cost, is it trendy? It is the point, following the biology. And based on that, we created innovative model, which just briefly, in the substrate production for some varieties of mushroom, the most important aspect is cooking, heating, or steam. We quit with that, and instead to cook, heat, and waste energy, we turn we change the process into the fully biological process. And I have to tell you, I didn't want to be innovative to invent this. I just wanted to survive with my SV. And when we want to survive, then we are looking for the solution. And when you are looking for the solution, you became innovative. So we do not need to become Nikola Tesla every day. We need just to survive and take experience from the science, from the colleague, from all around the world, and try to implement that. So this now is sorry, that is a little animation. So that is the nature of our process. We know that we are washing material. And the process should be higher of it. Then we are doing some so this is what we are, and this is our circularity. Ecofumi today is a truly circular company. We also produce in champignon. We collect the forest manure from the neighborhood. We produce organically certified champignon as a unique company in Europe. We use the used compost as a fertilizer. We deliver that to our organic farmers. We collect from them super extra quantities of vegetable what they have. We dehydrated that and made this final product, which today is selling on Amazon platform in US. Also, we use the cellulose waste, and after the harvesting of the mushroom, we offer the expensive stuff to the animal. And I have to tell you, this last subject, offering the expensive stuff after the cultivation of mushroom to the animal, can bring us in collaboration with a foundation almost 20 or even 30 years ago. My goodness, it was a long time ago. So this is circularity. Based on all our experience and based on the open source approach and the fact that we are working in the collaboration instead of competition, we created actually this school, which is recognized by our Ministry of Science and has accreditation for the elderly people education. And thanks of that school, this our technology is spreading really all around the world. And I think that more than 3,000 SMEs have been funded during the last 10 years based on our experience. So this is what we are. So it means that we do not need to do a lot. We need to do a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. This inspiring and